Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, we are live today at Garden State Beer Company, where we are giving away the Eagles and Commanders Monday Night Football tickets. That is club box seats in a couple of weeks. But this Sunday, the Eagles take on the Steelers. Football at 4 with Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds podcast. The Inside the Birds pregame show airs on Sunday on the Inside the Birds social media platforms YouTube channel at 10 a.m. And I'm sure, Adam Caplan, you guys will be breaking down the addition of one Robert Quinn and how he fits in. It looks like, by the way, he's going to play and make his debut on Sunday. So, Adam, what does he bring? How does he change things for this Eagles defense? How much does Robert Quinn make their defense better?
You know, it's funny, guys. Good to be with you. We dropped this hour and 20-minute show, and we obviously broke down the trade and how he'll fit in and his role and all that. We just didn't really talk about, can he make this defense better? Because that's why you do this. It's, yes, they could use one more guy. They lost Derek Barnett for the season due to a torn ACL, but how much better can he make them? And guys, this is a big-time pass rusher. It's not like he went from 18.5 sacks last year and probably almost 3 times as many pressures, real quarterback pressures when you make the quarterback move. So it's not like he became a bad player when he only had 1 sack. He's still really good. It's just that with the Bears, they changed schemes. They didn't move him around like they did in the other scheme. And he didn't really have any help on the other side. So that's a big part of it. Yeah, I expect him to be an impact player, Mike. No doubt about it. Whatever how many snaps they decide to play him on Sunday, yes, we do expect him to play. Don't know how much he'll play because he has to kind of relearn the defense that he played in 2 years ago and before that with the Bears under 34. But he fits in real well with it because, again, he's played in it before. So he should do well.
Yeah, 18.5 sacks last year. This year just 1. I mean, some people would say, is he running out of gas? Is he at the end of the line? He is 32 years old. Have you had any indication that this is a player in decline, steep decline, I guess, would be the question?
No, not at all. Now, I know that it's definitely true from what we're told that, yes, he was double-teamed a ton with the Bears this season only. Why? Because he didn't have any help. And the coaches, they run a very static scheme with the Bears in their 43 front. They didn't really help him. So, no, because I know that's the other question. Oh, he must have fallen off now. No, not really. That's not what the tape showed. We asked that question because we were curious. Yeah. Sacks are only individual plays. I'm looking for, if a guy averages, if he's playing 70% of the snaps, 60% of the snaps, I'd like to know what's the reason why there's a drop-off in terms of pressures. And it's strictly because he didn't really have a lot of help, and this defense is going to help him.
Do you think, Adam, that – does he take snaps away from someone? Is he just taking Barnett's snaps? Is he going to play 15 snaps, 20 snaps? Theoretically, if I said Adam Caplan before the season, you take them off their teams, who's the best defensive end or edge rusher of this group? Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Robert Quinn. What's the answer?
Yeah, well, again, it's really not. Remember, we call it edge rush group. We don't call them defensive ends. They're all edge rushers. Whether it's Sweat, Graham, of course Quinn, BG. They're all pass rushers. And yes, the Eagles run a hybrid system. They're more of a 34 front. That's the way they transitioned. They started to last year. Now they definitely are full time. They're all stand-up pass rushers who can play with their hand down. Quinn's done it his whole career. He's played in 43, 34. He's played with his hand down. Sweat, Graham, Quinn, BG, they've all done both. So I just look at it that way. Now, they'll play what they call their 52 front, which is a 5-2. They'll do that. They'll play a 5-1. But what you're not going to see probably a lot is of Quinn playing with his hand down. I think will be probably more standing up because that's where he really excelled 2 years ago. And we should also mention, Mike, what happened in 2020 because let's not forget he had a tough year in 2020. I know he didn't miss a lot of time. He missed a couple games, but he missed parts of others, and he was not himself. He had a very bad foot injury, which he suffered in the Week 1 game. And that season, he was never right until the offseason. And you saw what happened. Once he got right physically, he was unbelievable last season.
real quick on they get Quinn. Would you think, Adam, that's it? That's their move, or is there something else here?
Well, it's funny you say that because Mosher asked me on Wednesday, okay, they haven't made any trades yet before the Quinn trade. What do you think they're going to do? I'm like, they're looking at edge rusher. There's no doubt that's their number one thing. So they got that taken care of. Check mark. That's what they got. They got their pass rusher. They don't need to do that anymore. They've got enough of those guys. Now it's what else is left? A running back. We mentioned on today's show. We're going to give you the names on Sunday. We have them. We'll go over. There are a lot of them out there available. This is the tough call here for the Eagles. They don't need a big-time player. They need someone who could help them in short yardage. I know they've been very good in their 4-minute offense. They polish off teams with it. But they like to have it back with size. We've probably been talking about this now for three months. And they added Trey Sermon. That was the guy they added. But I'm not so sure what they see out of him because, again, he's inactive now that everybody's healthy at running back. They like to help. They like to have someone help them as a pass catcher. They're not getting much out of their backs in the pass game. Where they really got out of Miles Sanders as a rookie. Kenny Gainwell was drafted. The coaches, I'm told, wanted him specifically to be a pass down back. I know he plays on passing downs, but he doesn't catch the football. They need to get Hurts to check the ball down. It's not an excuse. I don't care whether he likes to do it or not. That's not complete nonsense. He's a quarterback. You check the ball down. You design plays for him. By the way, they have designed, we're told, plays for the backs. They just haven't gotten it. That's one area where Hurts has got to see this and get it to these guys. But they're not doing enough of it, Mike. And that's a part of their game, which I know they like to improve.
All right, Adam Caplan, football for the injury situation for the Eagles. The one guy was Lane Johnson. He said he was going to play. Mala, Brandon Graham. This is a pretty healthy team coming out of the bye here. Steelers a little banged up.
Yeah, the Steelers just did this. Chris Boswell did not practice today. He was added. He's their kicker. He's actually really good. He got a contract extension, a big one, earlier this year. He did not practice today. He just got added as question with a groin injury. Levi Wallace, one of their top 3 corners, is out with a shoulder injury. But this is the big one. Now, this is fascinating. Mike Tomlin, their head coach, indicated Tuesday he was not expecting T.J. Watt to even practice this week. Well, guess what? T.J. Watt is practicing this week. I read the transcript I got from the Steelers. I wouldn't say he's super optimistic about playing. They've got till 4 p.m. tomorrow to make a decision. Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern is the roster deadline for all transactions for Sunday games. So I find it interesting. Tomlin didn't seem optimistic at all. He said, I don't see him participating this week, and he's participating in practice. So we'll see what happens. But, man, even if he could give him 20 snaps, remember he's coming off of a partially torn pectoral injury, which he did say today it's pretty much healed. But remember, he also had knee surgery in the last 6 weeks. So anything they could get him if he could play would be a factor because they've got one good pass rusher, Alex Highsmith, and that's about it. And that is absolutely shown every week.
Adam, coming out of the bye week for the Eagles, what's one thing that you think we will see more of? We will see that they clearly worked on a little bit during their time off, or something that you just believe needs to be improved as they gear up for the rest of the regular season here.
So, Ryan, good to be with you. Yeah, so we did a self-scout show. This is sort of like an annual thing. Whenever the Eagles have their bye week, when Inside the Birds, we come up with a theme. Okay, well, last year, because the roster wasn't as good, there were so many problems. It's kind of like a miracle that they made the playoffs, but they had a soft schedule. This year, yeah, they have one of the best schedules. What we thought coming into the season not only turned out to be true, we probably underestimated how easy the schedule was in terms of what the other teams were looking at it schedule-wise. But I would tell you the top 3 things that I gave them, and one of them, I know it's minor, but I think it's a factor because if you remember, they were a heavy passing team, and they were a big vertical team earlier this season. I know that the Arizona Cardinals are very stingy against the pass, and they didn't really hit a lot downfield. But what we saw against Washington and Minnesota has been lost the last couple weeks. They got to get Quez Watkins involved, and they need to get the vertical game back. Now, guys, you should know this. The Steelers play a lot of what's like a cover 2 defense where the safeties are far back. Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, didn't care about that. He threw it over the safeties' heads. But you got to scheme against deep safeties. You got to throw it in front of them or make them move because Quez Watkins is one of the most explosive receivers in the league. I know he doesn't get a lot of pass targets, but we know that Brown could be a deep threat. Devontae Smith can. We obviously know Quez Watkins could do that. Now, the other thing is the second half scoring of games, guys. This is something that we've really not dealt with before on Inside the Birds in our 5 years. This is our 5th year doing the show. But I would tell you what they have to do is, and this is different from what happened in 2017, because if you remember, in 2017, if they got a big lead, they would bury teams. Teams are not coming back on them. Ask the Bears and Broncos what they thought of the Eagles that season. Remember they rolled up 50-plus against the Broncos. They didn't stop.
Yep.
That's another thing they have to do a better job of, these coaches. I know they're very good. The Eagles are the best team right now, but that's an excuse. You got to understand what you're not doing well, and you got to be on the attack. You cannot call off the dogs until the fourth quarter. If you're up, guys, by 3 touchdowns or more in the fourth quarter, okay. You could run heavy, but we don't want you don't want to lose leads. And then I also would do a little bit more blitzing if you're going to go against the right quarterback. If you think a guy can't handle it, you don't have to blitz 50% of the time like Todd Bowles does, but why not up at about 5 to 10%? Again, due to your matchup that week.
Well, and you mentioned that game, Adam. That was kind of their signature moment when they rolled over Denver. They kind of was like, people were wondering, okay, how good's this Eagles team? Then that Denver defense, I think, was like statistically number 1, and they put 50 up on them. And at that point, they just kept going. You're right. We haven't seen that signature type of offensive win for this team yet.
No, though it's been good. Look, their first half numbers, particularly the second quarter, are ridiculous. Which it basically, Mike, it's almost impossible to figure out what's happening in the second quarter. But I would like to see the killer instinct. Yeah, so it's funny. We also talked about that on today's show about the 2017 team. And John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterbacks coach, came on our show for our Patreon subscribers. And we talked about that, where when they found a matchup, they went after it. In that 17 game, they went after Aqib Talib because they thought Chris Harris was too strong on the other side. And now I would tell you, this team, these coaches have done a good job against matchups, but they could actually do better.
Adam Caplan, InsideTheBirds.com, the Inside the Birds podcast, and don't forget the Inside the Birds pregame show Sunday morning at 10 to get you ready for the Eagles and the Steelers. That game in Philadelphia, and you can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Adam, have a good weekend, man.
You too, guys. Thanks.
At Caplan NFL, football at 4 in the books here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. The Inside the Birds guys do a great job. Moshe will be back for a Mosher Monday. He'll give you the breakdown of the Eagles and the Steelers. That game, of course, is live on 97.3 ESPN.